Okay, so part of the process of filing a disability claim involves insurance companies, and they investigate claims made by injured victims, and they can use surveillance as a tactic. Great to have Nainesh Kotak from Kotaklaw talking about this topic for us today. So how common is that, Nainesh, in Canada?
Right. It is quite common. And just remember, there are different ways that surveillance can be done. There is a traditional, what we perceive as that cloak and dagger approach, where you follow someone in a van and you film their activities. But the other is also digital, checking someone's social media. What are they posting on Facebook? Do they have a LinkedIn account that says they're looking for work, for example? Do they have an Instagram account? So that's a cheaper way to do it. But yes, right. You know, it is common. It doesn't happen on every single case. There's certain cases where it'll be more prevalent for, I would think.
Right. Is it credibility? That's what they just want to prove, the credibility of the claimant?
Well, okay, so there's two purposes of surveillance. One is to just investigate the nature of the disability itself and maybe show that the person isn't that disabled. And the second, is to impeach their credibility. If someone says, for example, well, I can do 1 block of walking and that's it, and they're caught walking 2 kilometers, for example, well, that goes to their credibility. And the question then is, if they're not being accurate with that part of their functionability, are they not telling the truth about something else? So it can affect cases. More often than not, the surveillance won't be helpful, but sometimes they'll get a slam dunk, and the surveillance could be used to really harm a case, I would say.
What about educating your clients on the possibility of surveillance, and then even not becoming obsessed if you're telling them that there's surveillance, that somebody's always watching them?
Yeah. This is a real issue. Look, most of my clients with disability claims, they're experiencing some form of mental illness, sometimes post-traumatic stress disorder, anxiety, or depression. So just the mere knowledge or their fear that someone could be following them actually makes things worse. My advice is, look, be truthful to your doctors about your restrictions and what you can and cannot do. Then there's nothing that surveillance will show that would be inaccurate. Yeah. Live your life to the best of your mental and physical abilities. Try not to worry about being followed, because it doesn't happen all the time. It usually occurs before a significant event, an examination for discovery, which is part of a litigation process, a couple of months before a trial, a couple of months before a mediation. It's not that you're going to be followed and looked at every day. I do advise people, look, if you don't want your social media post to be looked at, stop posting, if you have a claim, or make your post private. We have a tendency to post very positive things, even on Facebook, a smiling picture with family, but that doesn't, you don't post those pictures you're taking your medications or you're crying or sad in your room. So sometimes that type of, the digital surveillance presents an inaccurate picture. To prevent that, make your profiles private.
Like, how many claims are we talking about? Do we have numbers when it comes to
You know what, we sign up a lot of claims every year, and literally, let's say, we sign up 400, for example, disability cases. We would see surveillance show up on maybe less than 10%, quite frankly. And it may be that they've done the surveillance, it's not very helpful, and they just settle the case and don't bother you with it, and we don't know. I always tell my clients, if you do feel you're being followed, just let us know, because we will ask for what's called an updated affidavit of documents, which essentially is, okay, showing us, any further information you've got, and we can then be familiar with that surveillance.
So they have to say that they're following or surveillance the client?
It's got to be produced. If it's going to be used at trial, it needs to be disclosed 90 days before the trial. Right. But if you ask for an updated affidavit of documents from the lawyer for the insurer, they'll have to show that we have this surveillance, and these are the particulars of that surveillance. I'll give you an example. We have a trial come up in January, mediation in August, and they spent over $12,000 on surveillance and nothing. They've got him going to the gym, which he acknowledges to their expert that he does. Yeah. So sometimes it's a real waste of money that could be paying legitimate claims instead of messing around following people. But I understand why they do it. They're hoping for a slam dunk and a better result for themselves as well.
Always learning something. Nainesh Kotak, Kotaklaw. Good to see you. See you next month. More Morning Live after this.